Toronto is one of the fastest growing cities in North America and is home to thousands of painters, poets, musicians, artisans from around the world. But who are they? And how do they create their art? And what is their process? How do they pursue their dreams? These are some of our questions, and we're seeking the answers. Today I'm sitting down with Misiri, an Albanian Canadian muralist and calligrapher. My name is Aneta, and this is your Inspo.
Canvas is like a window to my heart and my mind and my soul. And it's a small window, but you can stand in front of it and have a discussion. Authenticity is still the most important thing in art. We're at a thrilling time to be alive, and now we just need to go back to exploring our human nature and integrating that with technology. My name is Misiri, aka Medeio. I specialize in modern calligraphy, murals, digital design, and collectible art.
About your childhood, what were you like growing up?
So I was a really creative kid. I was born in Tirana, Albania. I lived there till I was 10. From my memory, I've always loved drawing and I've always been super hyper. I loved music, dancing. I was just a daydreamer, you know, and a free spirit.
You were born in Albania and then you eventually moved here. When did you move here and what was that transition like?
Back in late 90s, there was some political issues in Albania and a lot of people were leaving. We actually had the chance to apply for a lottery, and if we win the lottery, we get to move to Canada. My dad really preferred it because there was a lot of wars happening around the country and in the country. He applied for the family and we got it. So in late 2001, we ended up in Toronto. The beginning was very cold, you know, just you're adjusting with the language, you're adjusting with culture. I think that's what made me lean into the arts more. I didn't do it strategically for any of these, like a certain reason, but looking back, it was definitely first and foremost to cope and to kind of build self-value and self-identity, because I was just taken from the place I was born and now I felt like my identity is lost. So I had to reinvent myself. Secretly loved the most was dance.
Okay.
And I did it at home for years until I actually got good at it.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. What kind of dance?
Hip hop dance. And I used to love Michael Jackson a lot. Like I used to watch a lot of Michael Jackson, and that was like my first inspiration. And then all these cool dance movies came out, you know, like You Got Served and like, you know, all those mainstream.
Step Up.
Yeah.
That was definitely
so I was
good
like,
one, yeah.
This is it. I'm like, this is gonna make me cool and get me friends, you know?
Yeah. Actually, though, Step Up was definitely iconic for me too. I was like, this is the way people should act in public. Just break into dance. Just do break dance halfway, for sure. So you started off in hip hop and you self-taught yourself all this?
Honestly, was always in school hallways, like until the janitors or the principal would kick us out because they saw us doing like risky stuff. Unlike, for example, ballet, where you have to go through certain procedures and classes, like you're on your own in terms of showing up and committing. And the more you commit, the more respect you earn, and that's how you gain your mentors. So it's kind of, I found it very similar to the real world, where, you know, if you have to show up, you know, to get where you want. That freedom really helped me find the power within myself, that I was able to create this kind of lifestyle that I really loved and create something of myself.
would you say you transition into your next, let's say, chapter into art?
Well, what happened was I was going to university for design and art. And at the same time, I was competing as a dancer at a high level. So eventually, intuitively, I just put both together as I slowly experimented and started to learn what do I like the most. So I came to the point where I was like, why don't I take this brush and dance with the brush? So I started applying dance principles like static, movement, sliding, turning, flow into the brush, and not thinking about the actual academic kind of principles. This dance style I do is completely freestyle. We don't do routines, we don't rehearse. Like you just train hard and you make sure you're prepared mentally. So I did that with the brush and it clicked, and that was it. I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. And I made a whole series tributing like dancers around the world, and I exhibited those, and it's just been that style since.
Can you explain to me why calligraphy, or how did you come to calligraphy?
I got into calligraphy because I was into graffiti, and looking back into the roots of graffiti, it goes back into different calligraphic styles around the world. And by going back, I was like trying all these tools, you know, the different, like the Arabic, the reeds. I just fell in love with so many different styles of calligraphy, and that's what made me kind of go past just graffiti. And the style is actually called calligraphy. So it's a mixture of calligraphy and graffiti. Now, where I kind of built my own lane within it is that I said, forget the letters, let me express emotion and movement. I want to dance with these calligraphic techniques. I don't just want to write letters. That's where the freestyling came in, and all these things that I was doing as I was dancing, that same mental zone, I have it now while I'm painting with a brush.
Could you tell me a little bit more about your mural work and that process?
I really enjoy murals because they remind me the most of what I loved about dance, is that I performed in front of many people. What I like about it is that it's a permanent performance. So it stays there and thousands of people walk by it every day. Or, you know, people walk by it when it's in a restaurant or wherever it's located. And I also love how physical it is, because now I'm using my full arm to draw these lines. I just freestyle with my whole body while still obviously having a plan in mind and making sure certain parts are well executed based on the plan. Well, first of all, I do my background before I even meet the client. So I know a bit about them and I know what they may want and what excites them. So for example, I did a mural for the government of Tirana in Albania. Back home, it was an 8-story mural in a very prominent area in the club district, basically. It was of a sparrow. So the reason I made the sparrow is because the government at the time was putting a lot of efforts into growing the nature within the city. And when I went there with my grandfather, he used to enjoy going for walks under the trees because he would enjoy the sparrows. So I took the sparrow as an image and also found out that in native culture, from where I'm from in Toronto, it means ambition for a better future. So I pitched that to the government as in, you know, this is a symbol for an ambition to a better future because of all your efforts to grow the city's nature and beautify it.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful story. So when you go to a client, how do you pitch yourself? How do you explain yourself?
As I said, I do my background checks on them to see what they value most and what is the problem that I can fix with my art. So a place like a bank is very sterile. It's very gray. It's very like white papers, gray desks. And the thing is, people need a meaningful and emotional investment. So this is like emotional branding, where people need to be emotionally invested in this place to be loyal to it. So art creates that authentic experience, whereas when the customer walks in or a random visitor, they're like, wow, this bank really cares about us. They did something humanly. So what I do is I humanize commercial spaces, and I give them life that they require to kind of portray more of their brand and express themselves. One of the main things that I realized through this process is that 75% of life is dealing with humans. Everywhere you go, there's humans. So every business, especially now in the digital age, where things could just come off artificially because they're on screens, like behind every screen, there's an authentic human being. And how do we make things more authentic in a world where technology is growing and it feels as if we're growing apart from each other because we're using, different tools,
screens,
to communicate.
yeah.
So that's where art comes in. It reminds us that we're still humans. We need connection. We need meaningfulness.
So tell me about how you made your art into a business.
I made my art into a business through a very trial and error process. I don't have a business background of any sort. My family doesn't come from any sort of artistic education. I'm the only creative in the family. So it literally just started with me just getting low pay gigs, just building my portfolio slowly. And then I would like try to save every single penny and try to like work as many hours as possible on top of my art. Like I used to sleep on my school's floors.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I could get more time in the studio, so I can have more time for the business side as well.
Okay.
Because doing the business and the art are two full-time jobs.
For sure.
Like I used to hold my canvases and ride my bike all across downtown with big canvases.
Okay.
Because I couldn't afford transportation,
Yeah.
But I was just so hungry.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what I want to do. So I'm going to do it no matter what,
Definitely.
And like so many all-nighters and so many like crazy stories of like just random things happening at job sites and like, disappointments, like people who promise things and leave you hanging, learning about who's really your friend and who's really your business partner, who's a good ally, who's, learning how to read people and knowing if they're compatible. It was so difficult and you just keep failing and it was so mentally like taxing because you're like, is this worth it? Why am I doing so much work for no reason? And that's when I realized like I really need mentorship, and I went to like a business program, business incubator, and that's where I got some guidance on building my brand and learning things like customer service. Another thing I forgot to mention is before art, I was using my previous jobs as a way to learn. So I was doing construction. And just watching, the boss, how he talks to clients and me learning how to be punctual. Because, us artists, like, we're not always, we don't always have a grasp of time. So I had to learn if I wanted to check, right? So I learned a lot from construction and I just couldn't wait to quit. Like I literally was like, I can't wait to quit. And then one day I just took the leap of faith and I fell off the cliff into land because I couldn't fly because like, it's just, the business couldn't take off. The dream was there and I just kept trying to take off, but it kept failing, but I just kept going. I think the most important thing is consistency, to be honest. Like you have to take a lot of fails until you start like seeing results. My mentor, one of my mentors says, like, you don't wait till the plane is perfect to fly it, like fly it and build the plane while you're flying it. If you can't look at your first jump and feel embarrassed, then you didn't jump fast enough.
You didn't try.
And if I could go back and re-experience it, I would do the same thing. When I first started, I thought I just need to do art shows. I organized like over 25 art shows within the span of like 8 years, and all I was doing was wasting money.
It wasn't worth your time at all?
I wasn't selling because I didn't know how to, like, who buys and why do they buy and how to reach out to them and how do I build that following, you know?
So how did you learn that, or where did you learn that?
Just honestly, because especially in art, it's very difficult to find an art mentor because it's such an exclusive, elitist,
It's so elitist.
kind of system, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just how
it's hard to break through.
art
That's it.
industry is,
Yeah.
which is fine. So you just have to like pick little pieces of knowledge you get from different people, and then go home and just put them together and see if you can see anything through that puzzle, you know. And then you just keep building your puzzle. So, and over time now, like I've built a structure. Like I have mentors that I go to. I have a team of 13 people that I go to for different things, from admin to consulting, you know, to even, you know, mental health. Like I go somewhere, you know, where, you know, someone clears my mind and helps me focus on the next move and make sure that I'm sharp. So putting things in the right place and just keeping your brand strong.
Okay.
I rebranded last year and I noticed a huge change in that, like in the way people treat me after the branding, because they saw that this is the next leap.
So what was that rebranding?
So the rebrand, I used to go by my name, Misiri, before that. I made the rebrand because I wanted to give birth to something that could be bigger than me. And I renamed myself and my brand Medeio, which is, it took me a year to find the name. It's an ancient word from my country, and an ancient word from Greece, which means a craftsman and a deep thinker. I was blessed that I was so happy I found it because it took me forever. And anyways, now I can operate as myself, but also as an agency. The other reason why I rebranded is because I felt like Ray was the person that struggled a lot to build where things are today. He put in the groundwork, and I think Ray needs a break. You know,
he'll come back, or is he in the past?
No, he's here. You know, that's me. I'm Ray.
Of course, yeah.
You know, and you know, but now I want to allow like a Ray to have a child, which is Medeio, which can grow and expand and, you know, be even bigger than one person.
Kind of revisiting as well how you started out and networking with people. What would you say would be your biggest advice in terms of networking with people as an artist who might be shy or uncomfortable with that?
The biggest advice would be embrace who you are. You know, don't break down who you are because you see someone who's like a social butterfly and they talk to everyone. A good relationship that is authentic with someone gives you more traction than a very surface conversation. Yeah. And the other thing, last thing I would say is be strategic. Okay. When you go out to meet people, you need to like think about, why do I need to meet them? Know what you're offering and how it helps others. What's in it for them?
That's
right?
Such a sales, yeah.
What's in it for them? And you know, because you know you want something from them. Yeah. So you need to think of, how are you building an ecosystem with this person? How do your talents apply to this person's issues, right?
Yeah, solving their problem.
Yeah, find their problem, and how can you help them, you know? Right. How could you be excited to use your talents to help their problem? And as artists, it's beautiful because we're already creative. So when it comes to creative solutions, like
we're there.
We're already there, you know?
Yeah. Tell the audience where they can find you.
They can find me in Toronto. My Instagram is _Medeio_. My website is medeio.art. Find me at your next art show or in your neighborhood doing a mural.